Welcome back. The United States State Department has in the last few minutes reacted to the court case today between the South African government and the government of Israel, saying that allegations that Israel has committed genocide against Palestinians in Gaza are unfounded. It's not a new set of remarks because just this week, the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken repeated something similar during his Middle East tour, his, fourth or fifth one, in fact, to the region since war broke out on October 7th. So far, 23,000 Palestinians, more than 23,000 Palestinians have been killed since Israel started attacking the enclave by air, sea and land. It followed attacks by the Palestinian armed group Hamas on October 7th, in which close to 1,200 people were killed and over 200 others were taken hostage. Some of them are believed to still be held in Gaza. Now the South African government wants, firstly, the International Court of Justice to order a halt to the Israeli war on Gaza, which they say has basically destroyed the lives of thousands of Palestinians. Let's speak to Minister Ronald Lamola, who was part of proceedings at the court in The Hague this morning. In fact, he was the first person to speak to just set out South Africa's case. A very good evening to you, Minister. Good to have your time tonight. As I was saying just before we came to you, a statement from the State Department again saying the case which you've laid out is unfounded. How does South Africa respond?
Yeah, I think we have now made our compelling case to the court. We have presented evidence, and we have also followed international jurisprudence that we believe is compelling to back the facts and our presentation. We believe this compelling case will enable the International Court of Justice to issue the provisional and urgent injunction against the state of Israel. What the U.S. has said in just some few words, I don't think it is responding to our case. They must be able to respond in terms of facts in law. We have presented an 84-page compelling case to the court. So if the U.S. wants to respond, they must deal with the substance of the matter, what the state of Israel will do tomorrow. But from our perspective, we believe we have achieved the objective of presenting a compelling case, but also to persuade even themselves. If you read and look at the U.S. statement, you will see that it is now different from the statements they've been issuing before. They had never condemned the actions of and the words of Israel soldiers in the past. In this statement that you are referring to, they've done so, which is it's a move towards the right direction. They've also beginning to accept that a solution in Gaza is not the removal of the people of Palestine. So that in itself is already a sign that there is movement and our work is beginning to gain ground. The state of Israel has also done the same. They've issued the circular to their own soldiers on the ground, telling them about that certain languages may incite or constitute genocidal intent. So that already is done after we've submitted our papers. So you can see that already our work is influencing.
Do you believe that the actions that you have just outlined now, do you believe them to be genuine, or are they just cosmetic attempts to persuade or try and convince the likes of yourselves as the South African government that there is a genuine effort to look after the well-being of Palestinians, which you've argued has not been done since war broke out on October 7th?
Yeah, hence we have submitted the court papers. But I'm bringing a point that our work is beginning to persuade even those countries to now look at the matter differently, not in the manner in which they are currently bombarding, and with a clear intent of destroying the entirety and displacement of the people in Gaza. Obviously, the court must still issue the injunction that we are requesting, because as we are speaking, me and you, the bombardment is continuing. There is no normal life in Gaza. The provision of normal services has been severely disrupted. The provision of humanitarian aid is practically impossible when the bombardment is continuing. So indeed, the court must still play its role.
apologies, the bombardment seems unlikely to stop, though, because from what has been either put out on social media or official remarks by some of the government leaders in Israel, what we're seeing unfolding in Gaza is likely to continue for many more weeks, many more months possibly, because as things stand, the goal they set out, which they said was basically to kill off Hamas, appears to not have been achieved. So what's to guarantee that they won't simply scoff at an order from the ICJ if indeed it goes in your favor?
Yes, as I've said, we do believe that we have presented a compelling case, and the issuance of the injunction on its own will persuade the state of Israel, the United States itself, as only with us issuing papers, they have started to change their strategy and their language. So we believe that the court order or court judgment will be also very authoritative. It will also play an influential role in the international body of international law, which is aimed to stop the state of Israel from continuing with the acts of genocide that are currently happening in Gaza.
I wonder how that stoppage again would happen, or this apparent change of heart or tactics would be genuine, when in the last while, in fact, there are reports now from the international agencies saying that Israel's finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, has now said that The Hague, like other international tribunals, are political bodies plagued with anti-Semitism and are exposed time and time again in stunning shows of hypocrisy. That does not sound like the position of a government that will abide by any ruling from this court.
Yeah, and that is what we believe is a blackmail to ourselves as the South African government and also the court for Israel to hide behind anti-Semitism, to continue with impunity. They can't continue with this exceptionalism. The state of Israel must be held to account for its actions. This is not about the Jewish community. As you are well aware, in South Africa, we live side by side with the Jewish community. We love them. They attend their own church with no disruption. Some of them run big businesses in our country. And we really love them. We've got no problem with the Jews. What we have a problem with, and it is what we have brought to the court, we've also said this in court, that this case is not about the Jews as a people. It's about the actions of the state of Israel, which are genocidal in nature, which are within the definition of the Genocide Convention. And that is what we have called the court to rule on, to issue an injunction on. And we do believe that that ruling will be very comparative, will be very compelling, will be very important. And anyone who will ignore it will be on the wrong side of history. You must remember that there's also an investigation by the ICC, which we believe that as it unfolds, the ruling will also help with all those processes. So anyone who will try to ignore the ruling will also find their own personally held accountable and liable through the process of the ICC. So the ruling cannot be ignored. It must be enforced, and everyone who is serious about international law and order in any society must assert the importance of international rule of law and the rulings of the highest organ of the United Nations, which is the ICJ. So they joined the ICJ, as you will remember. They are also signatories of the Genocide Convention. They signed it in the early stages of the convention. So they are duty bound to also prevent genocide and to respect the rulings of the ICJ.
I'm interested in the conversations, that Minister, that Cabinet is having about relationships or relations with Israel post this court battle. I know the Director General, Zain Dango, addressed briefly the fact that there would be a need to engage between Pretoria and Tel Aviv. I don't know what the nature of that engagement will be, but is it the view of Cabinet that what has now happened with this legal battle and things such as yourselves, as the government, being accused of providing political and legal cover for Hamas, one of the government spokespeople from Israel today saying that basically even your legal team was in essence a legal team for Hamas. Are relations between the two countries possibly changed forever?
The legal team is the legal team of the government of the Republic of South Africa, acting to stop the actions of the state of Israel. And we have condemned Hamas. Even in our court today, we were very clear that the government of the Republic of South Africa condemned the actions of Hamas on the 7th of October 2023. And the government of the Republic of South Africa also did the same through a note verbal to the state of Israel, informed them that we have condemned Hamas. The government of the Republic of South Africa has got no relation with Hamas. We do whom you will have seen, they were present with us in court. So that is the people that we have relations with. And the legal team that was in court today was there on behalf of the government of the Republic of South Africa to present a case of the Republic of South Africa against the state of Israel. And we believe they've done an excellent job. They presented a compelling case. And this case is in the interest of the international rule of law to assert the rights of Palestinian children and women who are being maimed and killed in full view of the global community.
Can the South African government, though, enjoy any sort of cordial relations with an Israeli government led by the current Netanyahu coalition? Because as things stand, it appears there's very little love lost between the two of you.
Yeah, as you have heard and said, the DG did explain that indeed there are challenges. We have downgraded our relationship or our embassy in Israel, recalled our ambassador, our commissioner. But that does not stop the two countries from continuing to engage to find a long-lasting solution in Palestine and Israel, in the Gaza Strip in particular, in line with the UN resolution for a two-state solution with East Jerusalem as its capital. So that is a UN resolution that we are pursuing, and we believe for long-lasting peace, that must be recognized by both parties and the state of Israel and Palestine coexisting in that area. So our efforts are to find peace, and we cannot be punished by any international player for enforcing an international-based rule of law, a rule-based international multilateral system anchored on UN resolutions and conventions.
Justice Minister Ronald Lamola, good to speak to you. Thank you so much for speaking to us from the Netherlands after proceedings at the International Court of Justice.